Hi everyone, welcome to 2024. Happy New Year. So today we're going to be making a 2024 shoot bracelet. All the measurements are on the screen and the pattern is down in the description box. So we're going to get started we're not going to make a loop for this, but we're going to start by taking out what we need for our ties. I recommend 7 to 12 inches. And then we're going to separate our strings. The pink will be on the left and all the blue will be on the right. You got it? Hopefully you do. And please, for this bracelet, make sure you know how to do forward, backward, and forward, backward knots. Also backward, forward knots, just like all the general knots. So firstly, take the pink string that's closest to the blue. That's the pink string in the middle. Take that string, forward knots. That's going to be you making a 4 with your strings and then pulling it up. So I'm going to show you how to do it again. So take that blue string, take the pink string, make a 4, and then pull the string through. Let me show you how to do it. It's in a slower version now. So take the string you want, the blue string. Now take the pink string, use that string and make a 4 on top of the blue string. Now pass the bottom or the end of the string through the 4 and pull up. Now repeat that a second time. Make a 4 and then pull. And that's a forward knot. Sorry, ignore the sound. And we're going to make 7 knots. So far we've already made 3 forward knots, so remaining 4 more. So now that we've gotten to the end of this row, we're going to take the next one. And I'm going to be knotting both row by row and segment knotting because this pattern is a little weird for me. And trying to I'm trying something new here. So next we're going to take the first the pattern from the middle. We're going to take 3 blue strings, and I'm going to take the next string, also the closest pink string to that middle. That's in the middle, and we're going to make 3 forward knots. So now we're going to take the next blue string. I'm going to use that blue string to make a backward knot over the pink string. So to do that, take the blue string and make a capital D on top of the pink string and pull through that loop. Did you see what I did? D. Okay, so we're going to do it again. Make a D, pull through the loop, and there. So now that we've done that, move that blue string to the left. Holding that pink string, you're going to make 3 forward knots because we have 3 blue strings left. So you're going to make 1 forward knot on each of the blue strings. And so now for the next row, we're going to take the next pink string that's closest to the blue strings in the middle. Just pick the pink string beside the blue one. That's So we're going to use that pink string and we're going to make only 1 forward knot this time. Just 1. So using the next 5 blue strings, we're going to make a backward knot over the pink string that we're currently holding. Remember, 1 backward knot for each blue string on the pink string. So getting started with the one closest to the pink string, we're going to take that one, we're going to make 1 capital D, remember, pull through the loop and do it again, another capital D, pull through the loop, and that is a backward knot. So now we have 4 more backward knots to make. And now that we're done with our last backward knot, we're going to take that pink string and we're going to use it to make one forward knot over the last blue string. And that is the end of the third row-ish. So now for the next one, we're going to take the next pink string that is, well, closest to the blue string. So what we're going to do now, we're going to take the next pink string and we're going to be making 2 forward knots with that pink string on the next 2 blue strings. And now we're going to move just 2 blue strings to one side and take the next 3 blue strings. Now we're going to use each of the blue strings to make one backward knot over the pink string. That's 3 backward knots. So taking the first blue string, make a backward knot over the pink string. Remember, backward knots are the capital D's, which is the reverse of the forward knots. And now now we're going to take the pink string this time and make 2 forward knots on the next 2 blue strings. First forward knot, and now for the second one. And there we've completed the 4th row. Now going back to the beginning, we're going to pick up our next pink string. We're going to be making 2 forward knots again with the next pink string. So now we're going to take the blue string, the next blue string, we're going to make a backward knot over the pink string using that. Now the second half of the backward knot. And now what we're going to be doing, we're going to take that pink string, we're going to make one forward knot over the next blue string beside that. Just one forward knot this time, guys. And now that we're done with that, I'm going to take the next string that's going to be blue. I'm going to use that one to make one backward knot over the pink string. Now, please don't get confused. So we did 2 forward knots, 1 backward knot, 1 forward knot, and now another backward knot. Now, here we're going to have 2 forward knots. We're going to complete the row with this ones. And here we're done. And now for the next one, we're going to be taking the pink string, which is the next one. There are only 2 remaining, so just take the one closest, so that's in the middle, the next pink string. Now we're just going to be making forward knots throughout this row. So just we're going to be making 7 forward knots here. So I'm just going to speed it up a little bit because this video is going to be quite long already. Last row for this star we're making, I'm going to be making another row of forward knots only. That's 7 knots, 7 forward knots, sorry. So we're done, currently done with these. star as the first one, and we have to make five, so there's one out of five that we've completed so far. I'm just going to get into the second one now. And now to bring the next row, what we need to do is to take that, you see the strings that are in the middle, take the blue one, first blue string in the middle. We're going to use that string to make 7 forward knots. So this time we're going, we have the color reversal that's happening here, so we're using the blue strings now instead of the pink. I'm going to be making 7 forward knots. Now make your knots here very loosely, because you don't need them to be tight. You need them to be loose so you can like pull them if they don't fall into the proper place. I'll show you what I mean by that when I finish making the knots. So now I'm done with this row, and I'm just going to, you can see that it's like a straight line. The blue knots made a straight line. I don't need it to be straight, I need it to be bent. Like on the side should be bent. So now I'm just going to be pulling on it slowly. I'm going to be tugging it downwards slowly. So you can have like a tight, nice, I don't know how to explain it. Just know if you can see it's bent. It needs to have a little bit of space in between, like one side of the knots and the new knots we're currently making, new rows of knots we're making. So I think you should know, just bear in mind that this side that you're seeing now, if you don't make it loose enough, the other side might be, well, looser, if that's the word, and then it's supposed to be tilting towards one side. So now let's get the second row started. We're going to take the next bowstring and make 2 forward knots. And now that we're done with that, we're going to be making the next one, which is going to be 3 backward knots with the next 3 pink strings. So we're going to be using the next string next to the blue string right now. We're going to be making a backward knot, which is a capital D, just in case you've forgotten. And now what we're going to be doing is take the last 2 pink strings, and we're going to use our blue string to make 2 forward knots on top of them to end the second row. Now to begin the next row, what we're going to be doing is, well, making with the next blue string, we're going to be making 4 forward knots first. And now we're going to take the next pink string and make a backward knot on top of the blue string. And now that we're done, going back to our blue string, we're going to take that and make 2 forward knots. So the remaining 2 pink strings are going to be forward knots. Now for this row, we're going to take the blue string and make 2 forward knots. So we're going to be making 2 forward knots, and then now pull those 2 strings to one side. Now for the next 3 pink strings, we're going to be using them to make backward knots. And now for the last 2 strings, we're going to pick up our blue string and we're going to be making 2 forward knots again. So now to begin the next row, I'm just actually going to do something very silly right now. So we're going to take this next blue string now. We're going to make 2 forward knots only for now. Now I'm going to put that blue string to one side and take the next blue string. I'm going to make another set of forward knots. There's going to be 2 forward knots again. Now I'm only doing this so I can see how this other side, the blue side, is going to look like. So I need to know if they're going to be even or not. And they're actually okay in my opinion. So we're going to continue now. So we're going to take the next pink string actually. This might be a little confusing, but bear with me. So we're going to take the next pink string. We're going to make 2 backward knots using that string because the pattern calls for a backward knot on the first blue string and on the second too. So this is why I said we're going to be doing a little row by row and segment knots in. And now put that pink string to one side. So with our first blue string, we're going to use that one and we're going to make 4 forward knots because that's what we need to complete the end of this current row. And now for this row, we're going to be taking the blue string, but we're going to be making 2 backward knots. That's with the next 2 pink strings. Use those ones to make backward knots on the blue string. And now we're going to make 2 forward knots to complete this row. Now for the next row, we're going to be use the last blue string, we're going to make plain knots. That's going to be 7 forward knots. And now we're going to begin the next one. So we've currently done the start and we've done the 2, which remaining 3 more, and we're going to be completely done. So now pick the pink string in the middle, the one closest to the blue side. We're going to make 7 forward knots with this string. Now I'm trying to make sure that the sides come out a bit better than the previous one, so I'm going to make them very, very loose. Now, this one's actually okay, but I'm going to pull it down a little bit more. Just like that. And you can see that it's not actually straight, but I have enough time that I'll be able to just end up doing what I want to do. Now, I can recommend you do something. You can take the first two blue strings, and we're going to use all the pink strings. Starting from the next one, we're going to make 2 forward knots each, because you need to see how one side is going to lay. So if you see how the pink side is going to stay, you can just copy that and do the same thing on the blue side, or you can just pull or adjust the blue side. So I'm going to take the third pink string. Now let's make another set of 2 forward knots, and I'll just be making 2 forward knots until I get to the 7th string. Now I decided not to use the last string here to make any forward knots at all, because that's just going to be plain rows, and I don't think I need to see how that was going to sit, because I can already tell. So now let's actually get into the pattern. We've already done the first 2 rows of each side, so it's just the remaining 5 strings by the end of the bracelet. Now we're going to take the blue strings there, the next blue string, we're going to use that string and make 5 backward knots. We're making 5 backward knots. Now, because of how I started this particular shaped side, we're going to be doing this in reverse. Before, we're going from like using the strings on the left and going over the strings on the right. This time I'm going to be trying to do like part blue string. So now with the next blue string, we're going to use that string and make a backward knot over the pink string beside it. And now what we're going to do is to take for the next 3 pink strings, we're going to make a forward knot on that blue string. So we're going to take the next one and make a forward knot now. And now for the second pink string, and now this is going to be the last forward knot we're making. And now we're going to use that blue string and make one backward knot over the pink string, and we're done with this row. So move that blue string towards the left. Now we'll go back and pick up your next blue string. So now with the next blue string, we're going to be making 5 backward knots with that string. I'm talking about the blue string, by the way. 5 backward knots using the blue string. And now, because what we have remaining are 2 blue strings, that's the remaining strings on the right, they're going to be 2 blue strings. We're going to use the pink string, we're going to make 2 forward knots each. So that's going to be, each pink string is going to make 2 forward knots on top of the blue strings. So this is the first one. And we're starting the second one. 2 forward knots. And now this is the third one. And this is the fourth one. And then this is the last one. And we're done for this side, then we'll go back. So now for the last row of the number 4 we're making, we're going to go back to the pink on the left side. We're going to take that, we're going to make 7 forward knots with that pink string. So this is to like complete the entire shape. So now that we're done, what I'm going to be doing here is going to be a bit like what we've done in the previous row. So I'm going to start by taking the blue string closest in the middle. That's the one close to the pink. I'm going to make 7 forward knots using that string. But let me just say this. We're making 2024, so there's a double 2. We've already made this 2 before. So if you would like, you can go back and use that same tutorial, like to the beginning, and use that one. But I'm going to be doing it in a different way. So I'm going to do like how I did it the previous row. And I'll show it to you in a couple of minutes or seconds. Anyone works for me actually. So now, like I said previously, apart from adjusting the side, when I'm going to take the first 2 pink strings and I'm going to try to make the blue and the pink sides look similar. That's the reason why I'm doing this. So I'm going to take for the next 5 strings, 5 blue strings, I'm going to be using them to make 2 forward knots each on the pink strings. So now I'll get started with the first one. I'm going to make 2 forward knots with this one. And now for the second one, and now this is the third one. this fourth one. And this is the last one. Now that we're done with this, we're going to actually start making the pattern. And I'm going to see if I can make it a different way from how I did it previously. Just so that it's like different ways and you just pick the one you prefer. We're going to go back to our first blue string. Well, technically it's the second, but it's the first because that's the one that's currently in the middle. Like I'm beside the other pink strings. Talking too much. So we're going to take that string now. We're going to take the next three pink strings. We're going to be using those pink strings to make backward knots over the blue string. So it's going to be three backward knots. And now instead of waiting like we did previously, I'm just going to do the remaining two forward knots now. Because I find that I think that's much easier. So now we're going to pick the next blue string, the one that's currently in the middle. What we're going to be doing here is going to be two forward knots. So we're taking the blue string, we're making two forward knots now. And while I'm doing that, I want to apologize for not putting the patterns on the screen because I found that it was a little too confusing to section them, so I didn't do it. So now we're going to take the pink string and we're going to make a backward knot over the blue string. And now to end this row, we're going to make two forward knots. Now for the next row, we're going to do something a little bit different. So I'm going to take the next pink string and I'm going to make three backward knots with one pink string. That's the next pink string. Why am I doing this? Because I'm trying to segment knot this in a way that's very easy. And it's just three backward knots. I can easily do that. If you do not want to do that, again, you can go and use the previous tutorial. And now we're just going to go back to the blue string. So we're going to forget the pink one now. So we're going to take the next blue string. I'm going to take the next two pink strings. We're going to make backward knots with those pink strings on top of the blue string. And now we're going to make two forward knots. And we've completed this row. So all we have left are two more blue strings. And now for the next one, we're going to pick up the next blue string. We're going to make it four forward knots. See how easy that one is. Just take the string and make four forward knots straight. And now we're going to take the last blue string. We're going to take the two pink strings. We're going to make it a backward knot, two backward knots over the blue string. So that's one backward knot per pink string. And now we're going to use that blue string, and to complete this row, two forward knots. I think you should know by now that to complete the row, we always make two forward knots. Because that's all. And now for the last row, we're going to go back to the left and pick up our final blue string. We're going to use that blue string and make 7 forward knots, and we're completely done with this part. 7 forward knots, remember. So now to begin the next row, we're going to do our usual, take the string in the middle. This time I'm going to be using pink string. We're going to make 7 forward knots. Remember to make them loosely so you can adjust them. And now, like we did previously, we're going to take the next 5 pink strings. We're going to be making 2 forward knots with each string. So we'll take 2 blue strings and then we use each of the next 5 pink strings to make 2 forward knots each. Disclaimer, I did something silly here again, but you're going to see it either way. So taking the next blue string, I'm going to make 3 backward knots using that blue string. Now you understand why I'm doing 3 in like maybe like 2-3 minutes, but bear with me for the meantime. Just try. So 3 backward knots. So what we're going to do now, we're going to take the first pink string. Remember, we have 3 strings already. So we're going to take the first one. We're going to make a backward knot over the blue string. So a forward knot over the blue string. That was a very big mistake. And then we'll take the next one and make another forward knot over that blue string. And now the final one, we're going to use the blue string and make a backward knot over the third pink string. So now we're going to leave these strings on one side, the pinks and the other blues, leave them on one side. We're going to go back to the fourth pink string. Remember the fourth pink string? We're going to make 2 forward knots using that pink string. And now with the fifth pink string, we're going to use that one too and make 2 forward knots. Now this one's going to be really easy. We're going to take the next blue string. I'm going to make in backward knots. So that's going to be 5 backward knots with that blue string. Normally and now, like how we normally would complete our shape, well, this part of the shape, we're going to take each of the pink strings and make 2 forward knots each. And now we're going to go back to the left and pick the last pink string there, the pink string we left. We're going to use that one to make 7 forward knots. And that's going to be it for this tutorial.